So take this love and take it down. Hi, y'all. I gotta finish this song. If you climb a mountain and you turn around, and if you see my reflection in the snow-covered hill, well, I love this fucking song, y'all. Okay. I'm still having a hard time stopping it. So I have a whole lesson planned out that I am super duper proud about. But I must preface with I don't know what you're going to call this. Just something to keep in mind for your own experience that I am sharing from mine. Hint, Easter egg, something that is going to be a clue or an important speck that you keep in your Rolodex as we're going through this North Node in Pisces, South Node in Virgo, and you'll carry it on from there. Like, you'll never forget this. So I love this song. I did not love this song for the last couple years, right? So this week it came back on my radar. I'm about to show y'all because I have finally been given the full okay to hit y'all with evidentiary support. That's my favorite term for Legally Blonde. Because they didn't know she was coming until she had her evidence, right? What she knew. So I just now saved this so y'all can see that I had landslide on here, right? Blowing it up, singing it. I'm thinking it's just because I'm going through life changes, my children getting old, like, thinking it was personal. But no. Okay. So if you have Neptune at the 1st degree, at the 13th degree, or the 25th degree, or in your first house, conjunct your Mercury, conjunct your Sun, I'm going to say conjunct any of your personal planets, you get direct messages from the crown about your situation. They come through music, they come through film, they come through just the inner knowing, just out of nowhere, it's going to hit you. And it's so smoothly intertwined into your vibration that you don't even recognize that it could have nothing to do with you. So this is when I was playing Landslide, right? It's on this playlist I have. Can I just go back with so I gotta? Okay. 9 songs played. This was the song that was played, like on repeat. Like the rest of the list is the songs that have been stuck in my head for like the last couple of weeks. But Landslide stood out, right? I said something to 211, my bestie and my daughter, Alexis, right? Like, I'm like, guys, I keep rocking Landslide. I'm like, I guess maybe a landslide's about to happen somewhere. And I stopped for a second. I was like, LA, but they can't have no landslide, right? They burning, right? Technically, guys. This is the screenshot from Thursday. Remember, I just showed y'all Monday. Y'all see my little whole lineup, right? Landslide. Now, after I went back through my screenshots and all that stuff, right? There were several times where I had been really listening to Landslide, thinking it was my own personal thing, and landslides were happening somewhere else in the world. So the power of source is going to come through us, the people. And the whole reason my life got yanked up from being a pretty chill wedding photographer, it turns out, was to help people who are stepping into their gifts to better understand them, because we are going to have to use our stuff to help people. Like the way that people go to church, like, oh, this is the intermediary for God. That shall be no longer. Ooh. As the church is coming through the people, we're meant to come through the people. You need to be able to hear God on your own. And if somebody who can't hear or is like too traumatized to hear God comes to you, you'll be able to speak on behalf of source. Or in a case like now, even though I just got choked up, you'll be able to recognize when something's on the way. Depending on your chart, your alignment. No, I didn't expect I was going to show y'all this, but I am open to where I am being led right now. So everybody has a different configuration for how their radio picks up on different things going on for the collective, right? So I believe it's my Lilith or my North Node, because I'm like, okay, if this is the case, if I'm picking up on storms, That's how mad I was about it. Storms. There should be something in my chart that lets me know where this is pinging off of, right? So the higher version of it, and this is my Lilith and my chaos. We'll get into that chaos thing another day. I'll have to do a whole video on asteroid chaos and what it means for your chaos magic. If you don't understand what chaos magic is, I would recommend the newest Wicked movie. And the green lady has the power of chaos magic. Okay, Wanda from what is the name of the movie? I just call it Wanda because I love her. The Scarlet Witch. Whatever film franchise that is, that's chaos magic, guys. So, and it's higher octave, my Lilith gift, which is in my 10th house, something that is meant to be seen in front of the world, something that is demonstrated, and I guess maybe this video got something to do with it. Patron of the 4 elements, fire, air, water, and earth, sets us free from evil spirits. That's what I be doing here with y'all. You tell materializes God's will. That's what, just helping everybody see God is real. Don't let this stuff down here confuse you. Don't let the devil keep you in a loop. And the devil is just like a darkness, the id, right? Down here, is this the right one? Hold on. Yep. Down here are all the themes, high and low, that placement can pick up on. You see hurricanes, flooding, earthquakes, natural disasters. I get pings all the time. And then this is last year, I was turning on the news and then I'd see them and I'd feel like, but then, because somebody got hurt and it really got overwhelming. So this year I was told don't look, because if you look, then you're going to drop your vibration and then you'll be where everybody else is. And you're not able to hold up a light when everybody else is in the dark if you down there with them feeling some type of way. So every placement in your chart picks up on different stuff. Somebody else might pick up on a school shooting. And yes, absolutely have picked up on a school shooting before. And guess what happened? It didn't go through. They stopped him before it happened. But once again, that's another video, because when you get these pings, you are able to actually use your innate abilities for some of them to block or change outcomes. I'm still learning that part because that seems like a lot of pressure. And I know for every victory, somebody has to lose. And it puts me in my feeling whenever I say that. So, sorry, guys. I'm so sorry. I hate to be rude and just blow my nose up on here, but it is what it is. An example, and I think I've used this example before, but if you're here for the first time, this would be handy. I had a nightmare that one of my kids was hanging out with their friend, and the friend's mom tried to hit on him. At the time, I thought it was my son, so I got like extra protective. And I believe spiritually, because hey, your subconscious do what it need to do. It moved it around magically, but the energy has to go somewhere. A couple months later, it was my daughter who came to me teary-eyed because her best friend's mom was dropping her off and tried to hit on her. Why did it get moved to my daughter? I don't know. If I was to take my feelings out of it, because as a mom, you're like, nobody should have to deal with that. But to take my feelings out of it, she was better equipped to deal with it. Like her maturity level. My son is just like this. He's a Cancer. He's the sweetest thing ever. My daughter is a Sagittarius. She's soft and sweet too, but she's not with the shits. So that is an example of a precog gift, which is pre-recognition before something happens, and how you can move it and give it a different outcome. Just know that. I guess it's probably a part of chaos magic. When you move something that's a part of a timeline, you can only move it to one other place. So, that just took me somewhere. I prepared a presentation, guys. This is actually going to act as the second part to my spiritual warfare and protections. I had to step out of the format I had it in to really teach like I wanted to. But this is also the video that I would most like to share with the collective about warfare and all that stuff, just to understand what the hell is spiritual warfare? What are we even fighting? Like, what is this thing? Because these next 18 months are going to be the most pivotal in understanding this. What happened to you during the previous 18 months was you learning who you are versus everybody else. It was Aries versus Libra. So who are you really at your core? How do you react to situations in one-on-one relationships? Either you got really worn down by a bunch of stuff and overcame it, or you got worn down by a bunch of stuff and did not overcome it. There was really no options. A lot of stuff was thrown at everybody. So, like, how do I want to begin this? I started with the landslide thing. So y'all already know we're getting into the shits today. I gotta hit my little vape thing. Y'all, if I could take a pause before I start this lesson, I would absolutely say to you all, I've gotten better at taking a few days off without saying anything to anybody. That didn't do shit. Oh, of course I have to charge it. Dear God, please let me have a charger over here. I get so anxious when I'm channeling or when something is going through me, especially when it's something big that I like need to slow it down. But just a bit of THC. So let me just pause this for a second and then I'll put this on the charger. I'll be right back, guys. Y'all won't see, I'll just pop back in. Presto change up. Another magic trick, right? It's a little chilly in here because it's chilly outside. I'm in Georgia and we're anticipating snow, what, tomorrow, the next 3 days. But I am learning as part of the South Node going into Virgo that those of us that have been in isolation for the last couple years, really dealing with spiritual stuff, we are descending post ascension. This means you rose yourself up, you were in isolation, you got closer to God. Now you are being lowered back into your body so that you can merge the spiritual and the physical to function as a conduit for God here. So uncomfortably, I am learning to take better care of my human, which is why I went and put this on, because I'm cold and I didn't want to rush through the lesson because I am freezing, even though the heat is on, and I'm anemic because I've had 4 C-sections. And yes, I have to tell y'all all my business because y'all have to understand me. Otherwise, you'll be like, what the fuck is this lesson about? If we can vibe here, we can vibe here in this lesson. So when you are someone who has been told to suck it up a lot, like as a child, or you're too sensitive or anything, you learn to disconnect from yourself. You learn that your needs are not valid, or to put yourself aside. This can be people pleasing, or you can even go the opposite way and become narcissistic because nobody looked out for you but you. So you had to really look out for yourself. The in between is caring for your inner child. And in my case, it was making sure I was warm and I hit my vape and I was taken care of before I did this. You do not have to do your duty uncomfortable. You do not have to suffer. You do not have to be a martyr, which is a big theme that is going to come up for a lot of people during this North Node in Pisces. Pisces is the sign of the martyr. So I began this day and I had a whole list of stuff I was just going to talk to you guys about. And then suddenly, like, there's no way I can explain this thoroughly unless I have visuals. And I've been telling you guys I wanted to do PowerPoints for a while. I was only doing them for my classes and occasional things, but the time has finally come for me to ground this energy into my content, my everyday existence, if you will. Just becoming a better teacher, a better version of me. Now, before I begin this, I also want to say, I'm going to talk your head off this whole video, but it's going to be informative. Fear not. I'm not open for personal readings right now. If you want to book a one-on-one session, You can book one up to the 25th, and I will be doing those sessions during the last week of the month. I will be doing one-on-one sessions only the last week of the month for the next whatever till my guys tell me something different. But I am not taking any personal readings. I am still delivering older ones or pre-booked ones. My focus right now is on teaching and getting those out at this time, clearing out my energy field for whatever is next. And I really think it has to do with this Earth Games Next Frontier. So without further ado, here we have Earth Games, or Spiritual Warfare and Protections, Week 2, depending on if you're a part of the Intuitive Society or if you're just somebody who enjoys my YouTube channel or you're coming from Facebook or Instagram. There are 3 days left with the $100 discount for you to join the Academy if you like the way I teach, or you would like to learn how to optimize or understand your gifts and all that sort of stuff. So you can go to the website under the Intuitive Academy tab, and you use the code SAGSEASON, SAGSEASON, all together caps, for $100 off of entry. Okay, had to get that out of the way. I'm like, I gotta do business and teach. So, Earth Games. Before we got here, guys, we signed on for this. But for some of us, we've been here so long, we're like, okay, that's enough of the game. But you have to, is it pay back the dealer, pay back the house for what you borrowed? That's what your Saturn is. For all the time that you've taken to do a mission, you have to balance out the debt. This is the theme of the North Node in Pisces and South Node in Virgo. South Node in Virgo is your past or your past life, old debt, anything that has to do with any old services you did, old work. If you were of service, like your original contract was to help people on earth, that will be called in, just as everything is a ripple of the past life or your life thus far in your day-to-day, your routine, your method with which you have been of service to other people will be called back into your current reality. North Node in Pisces is you dissolving what you owed the house, letting it go, clearing it out. And that's likely going to be through the way that you used to be of service. Like you're going to be going back to a different version of self, which I'm going to go through in this video. Y'all ready? That's what tab number 2 says. Are y'all ready? I'm so excited about this slideshow. Okay, so this includes some story times, y'all, because y'all need to understand how the ethereal or underworld, those are 2 different areas, realms, intermingle with Earth. So I'll go to this screen because I'm like, hold on, where do I start? I have a blind item story to tell you guys. I have told the story, I think once, maybe twice before, but it's been a couple of years. And now my ability to recollect and share what I experienced is way less frazzled than when I tried to explain the first time. So when I first woke up, how can I, do I need to go back to that? Okay, so the way I woke up was not pleasant. I don't think the way that anybody wakes up is pleasant. In some cultures, they have rituals that force an awakening. Some people, damn, I can't even say nothing about that because I have yet to come across anybody who just woke up one day and had an epiphany like, God is real. No, the awakening is a ugly process that causes you to realize everything around you, including yourself, is kind of fake, and you have no choice but to climb the rope to God. Like everything else has been cut off, and it's just you in that path, right? So for me, I was a wedding photographer, had a husband for a million years, had my beautiful 4 kids. Everything looked like it was going well, but I was absolutely miserable inside because everything was not going well. My marriage was horrible, right? So I did not want to be in my marriage anymore. He kind of just ignores that. And at the time, I did not have the mental fortitude to deal with it. I had discovered he was cheating in a smarter way. Like he wasn't cheating with regular people anymore. He was like going through apps or just meeting random people, right? So we were working through that when I got a bombshell from a family member who told me that they had been actually involved with him many years ago. So I decided I don't want to do this anymore. I want to see other people. And he's like, yo, just let me keep trying. Let me prove that's not me no more. So I'm like doing my thing mildly, just, hooking up with the ex. And this is driving this man crazy as he's trying to show me he is like the best dude ever. And I'm like, bruh, we've been together at that point, like almost 20 years. It doesn't get any better. I've been with you since 17. This is my life. So keep in mind, we still have a business. So the most important thing for me is that the brand does not suffer because he showed his ass. So we are making progress. But by making progress, I said, I'll say, I was taking my power back in the wrong way instead of me proving that I was a strong, independent woman by being on my boss shit and booking my weddings and doing stuff like that. I would sneak out at night and come back before like he woke up in the morning and I'd be texting on the phone. I was just sloppy and just rude because I did not care. I had been treated very disrespectfully. And I said, you're going to sit here and watch me do this in your face because you want to stay around and make sure we're going to get back together. You got to deal with the disrespect till I feel like, oh, all right, you done proved your point. After a while, I start feeling crappy because I'm like, dang, he looked kind of depressed. Like I know one day I was doing something, I was texting, and he was just crying. He was just sad. Like, damn, all right. I think I've gone too far because I'm a sensitive person. Just my heart was really hurt. I'm deciding I slow it down with the ex. I don't really want to do that anymore. During one of the occasions where we were shooting a wedding in the Dominican, I'm still texting the guy because now I got the problem with two dudes. I done told the side dude ex, like, hey, I'm no longer really interested in doing this. He doesn't want to hear that, so he's still texting, what you doing? When I'm on this trip, my husband has asked me, hey, can you at least not text him for this trip? And I said, cool, fine. No, I'll be focused. I'm good. I'm going to get back on the bandwagon. We're going to save our brand, save our marriage. We're going to be great, right? Dude won't stop texting me. And like, I really was a pushover. I don't want to hurt nobody's feelings. I don't want to be mean. Like, I don't want him to feel used. So I'm responding every now and then, but he getting heated. I don't take no note of this. For the last couple months, I've been focused on me. I've been future. I've been toxic queen for the last couple months. Guys, next thing I know, I am on crutches because I have slid in the bathroom. I'm not even going to get into the whole story there, but I have slid in the bathroom. After this, I cannot walk because I am also 450 pounds. I came down on my own leg when I fell and I had to actually pop my own knee back in, but I am on crutches. So I am going from somebody traveling, like I'm barely home as a wedding photographer, to being stuck literally in my bed, like TMI, but all of this is about to be TMI. Y'all are in for a wild ride today. I just got, isn't that weird? I just got the feeling like, hold on, your computer might try to not let you finish this video. It might be broken up in 2 parts. I'll worry about that then. I'm not gonna mess up the story. So I can't do anything. I'm stuck in the bed. Everything really sucks. Like I can't shoot my weddings anymore. I gotta send the husband that I was like mildly rocking with to all my weddings. My hard drive then goes out with all the weddings I just most recently shot on it. And so I got to ask all the brides to be patient. I don't know if y'all have ever dealt with brides, but they're not really patient. They were not happy about that drive. So I was slowly getting dwindled down. The breaker for me happened when we went to Texas to do a wedding. That was a New Year's wedding. One of my favorite clients. I was so sad I could not shoot properly because I'm still on crutches and my doctor was saying, hey, I got to lose weight to even get surgery on my knee. So at this point, I am crutch bound and I have to sit everywhere. Like my meniscus is torn. I cannot do anything. So get to the place where they're a couple days early because I really like Dallas. They have amazing food. And he goes outside at night, right? And I noticed like, hey, it's like midnight. Why is he outside? And he's like, yo, I'm just in the car, just thinking about us. I need some space. Oh, all right, cool. I think nothing of it. He doesn't come back till like 9 the next morning. So spidey sense is going off. He's not tired, I'm like, you don't need no nap. You've been outside in the car smoking and singing and crying all night, right? Nah, he said he don't need nothing. He good. He rested. Interesting. So later on, his phone goes off and it's a person writing him. So I go to click it and it's somebody that he used to attempt to cheat on me with that he never got to meet in person. But since this person had happened to move to Dallas, they finally got the chance to hook up. Y'all, I cracked. That is the best way I can explain it. And I finally, oh my goodness, finally got to the point where I could say this without getting emotional about it. Like, I say I've died a couple times in this life, but this is absolutely like the time, like, I know I died. I know I did. Like, I cracked because I'm like, bro, if this is what you were going to do, you did not have to stay around. Why did you stay around and try to prove a point if you were just going to do this like wherever we went? So the last thing I remember after being extremely frustrated, like I could not calm myself down. Like my mind would not stop thinking negative thoughts. Like I just knew this was it. So I'm talking to God. I'm like, God, I can't do this no more. Please take me. I can't. Like, I guess like the deepest abandonment wound I possibly had was triggered. But guys, the last thing I remember like seeing or hearing was like myself from outside of myself. Like, go pick a meditation. Keep in mind, y'all, I didn't know shit about meditation or nothing, but I grabbed some headphones and I went to YouTube and I put them on my ears. And it was just like a sound. So as I am zoning out, right? And I gotta pause because now, hold on, the emotion kicked in. I just like got the energy or like heard myself say, just lay down. And I laid down in front of a tree, which now is way more significant thinking of it in this moment. I laid down in front of a tree and then everything went black. When I woke up the next morning, y'all, now immediately, nothing was different. I didn't have any superpowers or any gifts or anything. It was cool. But there were little things about my personality that changed. So that whole day, I'm just ignoring him. We still got to do this wedding, right? When we get back into town, the first thing I do was get a tattoo. And it's just a little ladybug. I didn't have any tattoos before. I did not believe in tattoos. Like my dad doesn't like tattoos, so I didn't get them. I'm really like a daddy's girl. So I was extra about it. I got a tattoo. Next thing you know, I had a blonde weed. Then I'm like, hey, I need some weed. Next thing you know, I'm chain smoking. All these habits that I did not freaking have before. So of course the marriage is screwed because like bad girl mode reactivated. But he's like, we should go to church. We should go to church. We always go to Victory. That's in Norcross. And Montel Jordan is one of the preachers, right? So we go. I am a mess. Just my energy is a mess. It's just trash. Like, don't be around me right now. I go, got my black hoodie on in church, disrespectful, right? But as we're sitting, listen to the preacher, and oh, I am stewing. If they would have threw holy water on me at that moment, I would have fried. This is just how disgusted I was with like God, church, the process, like, because I had devoted my whole life to a certain set of principles. And I always ended up shitted on. Like, what do good people get for fucking being here? That's the energy I was in. That's the nastiness I was feeling, guys. They had a guest speaker come in from a different church. Now, if you've seen the movie Little Nicky, you'll understand what I am referencing here. But the speaker gets up there, right? And he's like, you have been struggling in life because you have been thinking of doing things your way. And so I'll look up a little bit because it feels like me and this preacher dude is here. Now, keep in mind, this church is huge. This is one of those mega churches. But he was like, imagine that you've been going to a restaurant this whole time. You know how when you go to a restaurant, you look at the menu and the first thing you do when you're on your own is you look at the prices like, oh, can I afford this? And sometimes you know it don't go your way. You got to pick and choose based on that. He said, but you know what you need to do? You need to look at life through daddy's menu. And my ears are peaked at this point. I'm like, what you mean daddy's menu? It's like when you go out with your father, do you look at the prices? Do you worry about what you're going to get? Nah, because daddy got it. So I was like, okay, cool. And I carried that with me from that church experience, you know, like, all right, that's church, that's good. After that is when I started noticing the signs and stuff. I started hanging out with my bestie, mild bestie, but she was an open like witch. The whole time I'm fucking with her. Don't leave Don't leave your tarot cards in my house. That's just what I'm telling her. Don't do none of them readings. Don't do none of that meditation. I'm so deep in my Christian bag. Don't do none of that. So the whole time we were friends, there was always this wall. So as soon as this weird stuff started popping up and happening to me, and I'm noticing messages, first person I call is her. She put me on to some stuff, just like an understanding of how magic works. That's all she gave me. She couldn't give me no spirituality, but she helped me understand how candle work and like how you got to work A, B, C, and D. So I start doing candle stuff and meditations. Like, what could this hurt to see if it works? This is all a test because I think it's cap. But I'm gonna try this daddy's menu thing. I know through magic, wild, right? So not noticing really anything happening because I didn't know what I was looking for. But the next thing I know, I'm living in Miami. My apartment, everything that is assigned, my business is gone. My house that I was in is gone. Everything is just me and the kids and him in Miami. Now we're in Miami, we're doing full moon work, right? Doing my little candles. And I have videos of all of this. I look forward to putting all of this stuff together because one of the messages I got when we left from that apartment, when it was all over, was document everything. Because one day in the future, you're going to make something that shakes a lot of people up. So I'm really excited about how that's going to turn out. So we're doing our moon magic. It was something special about this moon. I don't remember at the moment, but it had a ring around it. And we did this ritual for 3 days, which was us going to the pool, swimming under the moon water, and lighting like literally little tea light candles because we're staying in a hotel. I live in Miami now. At the end of the 3 days, 211 comes and he says, we should go to California. And I was like, California, just because there was something subconsciously like in the back of my mind that told me I'd never make it that far. Getting to Miami was amazing. I'm from Baltimore, Maryland, by the way. Getting to Georgia was amazing. I never thought I'd be able to do anything outside of Maryland because my family did. So when he said California, I'm like, okay, well, let's try. Let's see what happens. Guys, we magicked our way from Miami all the way to LA. Like as we were going, I was doing my little candles, doing my stuff every night. And every day, like a random client, even when I thought I wasn't booking weddings no more, would come and pop in, or somebody would pay off their balance. It was like strategically done. So get to LA. It's beautiful. Oh my goodness. This is Hollywood. It feels like a fairy tale. And it's not even like what's actually there because it's like a city and there are homeless people everywhere. But the energy, we would just go sit at the beaches. Like every moment of that experience was wonderful. When I came back, and I'm gonna fast forward because I went to LA twice. When we came back, I got stuck living with that magic friend, which was good for me because I got to see like what you don't do with magic and all that stuff. At the end of my time there with her, we went back to LA again with her this time, right? So when we got over there, she was still doing her offerings and stuff, but it wasn't going how it needed to go for her. So keep in mind, she can never manifest. When she noticed I was manifesting stuff, she was pissed. She was only good at chaos magic. Like when she was mad at somebody, boom, car accident, A, B, C, D. She went there to give an offering to her head or her whoever she was under. When she gave the offering came back like it was rejected. Next thing I know, she was headed back to Georgia with her kids. Like we got stuck out there on our own. So one day, and I know I've told this story recently, but it pertains to this, so I'm gonna tell the story the same way every time because that's what happened. So it gets kind of like tight while we're in LA. Like sometimes we have to sleep in the car. The room rates keep shifting. I still get some wedding payments, but 211 has to get a job, so he becomes like a DoorDash or whatever driver. I don't remember what it was. It was some app that was over there and it really had him busy, like riding all day making deliveries. During one of the deliveries, he stops, finally made enough for us to eat for that day. And there is a homeless lady standing next to the trash can and she keeps asking people for change. I remember some African storybook I read when I was younger, and it had a story about this woman that was on a journey, and every person she came across asked her for something. And she still gave it to him, even though she didn't have much. Her sister was on the same journey with her, and every person she came across, she was like, I can't help you, right? When she got to the end, they found out that each person they had came across was only a representation or a mirror of the person that they were going to see. That person had been testing them the whole time to see their true character. So when I saw this lady, that's the story that popped in my head. She was just out there like, can y'all help me? Can anybody give me some change? Now, keep in mind, over the last week, I noticed that there were entities that can talk to you, like telepathically. They can recognize that you can hear them if you like, right? So the one that stood out to me the most was one called Papa Legba. And I only like had that in my Rolodex from American Horror Story, right? But I remember seeing him in Beyonce's Lemonade. I'm like, yo, the dude with the hat keeps like trying to talk to me. So I looked him up, like, what does he want? Like, is this dude evil? Like, what is this? And we just made the decision that we don't do no deals. We rock with God, whatever he's offering. But I saw like, his thing was 3 pennies, crossroads. He helps you through a hard time or whatever. Just kept that shit in my Rolodex as we go on. So the lady is like, can anybody help me? And I'm looking because, I'm in a bad spot. We ain't really got no money. He just made enough to go in the store, and he still has to put gas in the car. So I'm looking around for anything that I can give her, guys. I look down at 211's, like the bottom part where his feet go when he's driving, and I see 3 pennies face up. So I'm like, all right, that's freaking weird, but it's all I got. And she said she wants anything. So I go to grab the pennies and I like grab around for something else. I don't know if it was a cookie, some chips, it was something simple. And I lean my head out the window and I'm like, here you go, ma'am. She comes over, right? Suddenly, that whole spiel she was giving, like, can somebody please give me change? Because keep in mind, she was like crying, but it was like, it was sort of fake crying. Now I know it was absolutely fake crying because she shut that shit up when she started talking to me. Shorty said, thank you very much for the change. And then the next thing you know, let me take the glasses off because that's how quick this lady switched. She said, you did all that work for all of those people, and now none of them even care that you are just out here with your children with nothing. And I'm like, that's pretty fucking specific, right? But she was like, I like you. You're smart. And then she walked off with the change and went back to the trash can and back to her. Anybody have any change? So 211 gets back in the car after this. I tell him that story, and he's like, that's creepy. And I said, yeah, it is. So he pulls off, and we go down into like a cul-de-sac. That's the only way to get out from this gas station combination. As we're pulling through the little cul-de-sac, there's a guy that pops up at the end, and he jumps off of the little wall that he's on, and he waves his arm like Lieutenant Dan or Forrest when he sees Lieutenant Dan and Forrest Gump, right? He waves his arm. And he was like, I don't know what mama's doing on the other side of town, but I am coming to meet y'all over here, right? So keep in mind, 211's trying to like pull out of this because we're like, who is this homeless dude in red and black that is rolling up on us, right? So he can't move. He can't back out. He can't do nothing but stop. And the guy comes right next to my window, right? And he says, how you doing today? My name is Daddy. Just letting you know I am here whenever you need me. I am but a whisper away. And then he walks the fuck away, right? The rest of the trip in LA, nothing like that happened again. We even just like sat there for a second at a different like gas station. Like, what was that? Like, this is us and the kids that witnessed this. But we end up coming back to Georgia after that. Like, stuff was not, it was not LAing for us. Come back, get a house, we're settled. Y'all needed this backstory. I think we're cool. Like, all right, that was just like a little, but then I noticed that there are little signs or messages I'm getting just about like the answers to old Hollywood deaths, like, and it takes me a while to realize, like, hold on, did y'all follow me back from LA? And unfortunately, they're like, yeah, kind of. We noticed that you could hear other entities, so we had some stuff that we wanted to get off of our chest. So I just kept all their little stories. Like, do I want to say it's like a therapy session? Yes. So I had to do what I do for y'all in this job. For some, I don't even want to say passed on, some souls that were left in limbo because of things that had happened to them in Hollywood, because they owed money to the table, to the big thing. So the story this is leading up to is the blind item story. Y'all can figure out who it is on your own, along with anybody else here, but I needed to merge spiritual with the physical for y'all to understand the lesson that I'm teaching today. Please keep in mind, all of this is connecting to a story that's going to help you understand something in your life in some way, shape, or form. So one day, after we done been down a rabbit hole, we done learned a bunch of stuff. I'm learning about MK Ultra and adrenochrome, satanic ritual abuse, all the things that people in power do to stay in power, connected to this group called the Knights Templar, the Cabal, or y'all call them the Illuminati, whatever the case may be, right? All the dark stuff. When we get to the end of watching stuff for the day, like, well, that's enough for that. I stopped and I said, hey, I want to listen to some music from blank, blank, the reclusive songbird. I call him Moon Boy, right? That's what I'm going to call him now for the rest of this. When I go to look for his music, I noticed that his channel's been scrubbed on YouTube. I use YouTube for everything, for music and all. His music isn't on there anymore. I know that at this point, this is 2000, maybe 2001, one of those. I'm gonna go 2001. His music is gone, and I know that recently he got out of his label deal. So I'm like, all right, there's nothing to that. We go upstairs. I'm still not tired. It takes a while to come down after you learn about some of that stuff, after you go down a rabbit hole. Not to 11. Like, this is his life. Like, he loves fight videos, violence, just, that's a whole nother thing. So he goes to go to sleep, and I'm still over here doing my thing, whatever. I don't remember what I was doing, journaling. But then he pops up. He's like, I'm fucked up. I'm like, what's wrong? He was like, I saw blank, Moon Boy, and he was in a room, like tied down or drugged or something. But when I walked into this room, this being saw me out of the corner, and that's what made me jump up. It was like it was coming towards me, like it could actually see me. So at this point, I'm aware. How do I put this? I'm aware that, like, there has not been one thing I ain't tried to figure out with these gifts that I wasn't able to figure out at the time. Like, when I want to ask a question, it was just like the stuff would come to me. So I had no fear in my heart when I went into this. I was like, well, let's see what's going on here. I remember one time I was doing my second or third reading for somebody, and I was like, homegirl, what's wrong with your throat? And she was like, I'm getting sick. I didn't think anything of it, but I could feel her throat when I was doing the reading, when I was tapped into her energy. So I take my astral body. This is called remote viewing, by the way. The ability to take a piece of your auric field, another version of yourself, an invisible version to everybody else on this plane, and to move that around and send information back to yourself. You might have seen this little trick on Charmed. I think it was Prue's gift. So I go to wherever he was just at, and I start walking through the hallways. This is astrally. I'm just sitting in a meditation state in the real world. That's all you see. So I'm walking through the hallways. I take note of it. There's concrete below me. The walls are stone. It's really high ceilings. Like maybe they took a cave or something, but it's definitely underground. So I go to the room where 211 has said that he saw him. The room is empty. He's not in there. It is 211 on the clock. He's not in there anymore. He's been moved. So I got to do my detective work after that. This is when I pull out my cards. I'm like, he's not in the room. I'm like, all right, so who was he there with? What's going on? Blah, blah, blah. He's there with the guy that everybody believes is his best friend, but it turns out that was the guy that actually sold him out, that ended him up in this underground laboratory or whatever that was in Chicago. Bottom line, right? So I know I've gone as far as I can with 211. His gifts really kick in at nighttime, and it's not so much. It's not the same as mine. I needed people who were actively working their gifts. So I gathered together a group of some clients that have befriended me that I saw in their charts had the strongest powers. So they were able to help me with a bunch of stuff. But by the end, they tapped out. Like, this man was being tortured. I don't know to this day. I do know what they wanted. There it is. Just came in. They wanted him to sign some sort of deal, and he was refusing. Well, that's the first time I got that one. But they wanted him to sign something or agree to something. He would not agree to it. So once the blood and stuff pretty much started for the other clairvoyants or the other people that could pick up on stuff, they were out. I didn't want to leave him. So I pushed my gift. Keep in mind, y'all, I didn't know what I was doing. I just know that when I went into the room with him, and this particular time they had him tied down. If you have ever seen the movie Hostel, you'll understand sort of kind of the setup for this place and what was happening to him. All I could do, and it still like gets me shook to this day, was like place my astral hand on him to hold the pain for him so he couldn't feel it the whole time. I went third eye blind. Once again, didn't know this was possible. I was no longer able to see what was happening to him in order to preserve the integrity of my brain. of my senses. Whatever was going on in there was so bad, I wasn't allowed to see it anymore. But I could feel and I could hold space for him. I did not sleep for 24 hours after that. Like straight up, I could not go to sleep. All I know is I held him as long as possible until I just, like his energy wasn't there anymore. Like he had let go, right? But he wasn't dead. It's just the part of him that was. Moon Boy had fled that body. That was where my mission was over. So still awake, just trying to be cool. My kid's like, hey, let's watch a movie. Let's watch Sucker Punch. Never saw Sucker Punch. If you've seen Sucker Punch, you understand how that connects to this story. But at the end of that movie, where the theme is a bunch of girls who thought they were signing up for a certain thing were not signing up for that, and they end up all sort of getting lobotomized and forced into different positions. But the person or the main character was letting the viewer of the story know that they were okay, that they can no longer feel the suffering or the pain of being trapped in their own body anymore because they had gone on to a place that was like beautiful in their mind. They weren't there anymore. Boo-hooed. I can still boo-hoo about that now because that really, like, it really happened. So you can't hold that type of pain or that type of story in you. Like I had to get out like the horror, no other word, of a grown man being tortured from my body. So I painted. And keep in mind, I was still getting my skills together. This is from 2021. Please note several things here, guys. So you see, I have my softbox set up. My paintings over here. It's me and my kids. We do our painting. I have my backdrop. I had my office set up. Look at my pins. I miss them so much, right? So this was me starting to build my empire. I was doing great. I painted him right here. This painting right here is what I put him in. In the future, when I move into a house that I am happier with, I'm going to paint him in somewhere prettier. I put whatever name I had for him in the back, but that is the place where his energy is still stuck, if you will, in a pretty place. Like he's not seeing that he's still stuck in the room where he was like tortured and kicked out of his body for something else to enter. And that's the best I could do with that at that time. So Moon Boy lives there. I named the painting Lonnie, and that's where that stayed. That's the first time I've shown somebody that painting to. You see how rudimentary it is? Oh, it's been so long since I looked at this stuff. But quite shortly after this, I did not know that the astral beings can see you and target you. What I did not have a picture of, I don't believe I have a picture of, was the altar that I had in my house. I was building myself up. I was healing myself. So I put a picture of myself on the top, and then I had a bunch of crystals, a bunch of cards. I had Archangel Michael at the bottom, like helping me heal myself. What I did not understand is that I was making my house look like a club in the astral. All the dark entities, when they're like out at night and when they get to come into our room, all they saw was what is in that fucking house. Had no idea. So this whole setup and all that stuff slowly got broken down until like I got jumped, spiritually jumped. How do you know you're under attack? Everything starts going wrong. What happened in this house? A leak happened. The ceiling caved in two areas. The waters wouldn't go down in the tubs. The kids started having more nightmares. We were all bickering more. These are all ways that you know that there's a heavy attack or heavy demonic or energy like on you. Like you can't sleep as well at night. You might notice like dark figures or shadows sometimes. But the thing that is like most prevalent or was most prevalent there is I had this anxiety that would not go away, that something was very, very wrong. And it was. I was about to get jumped. I got jumped. After I got jumped, because like all of my juju had been sucked out of me is the best way I can say it. When I woke up, I felt hollow. That would be like death number 3 in this life. I felt hollow. It is my belief that what happened to me is I went to sleep after days of trying not to sleep when I realized I was under attack. That did not work in my favor. The going to sleep, I would have been better making it through that little window I had. This was the 13 days of Halloween. This is when they do their heaviest rituals every year. That's October 13th through November 3rd, I believe. But I would have been better if I had just held on past Halloween night. But you know, there's only so much not sleeping you could do. I fell asleep and I fell asleep so hard I didn't even move to the next morning, which is not even my MO. I was spiritually moved, like my soul had got captured. And then they did whatever ritual they did on my astral body, on my soul, the same thing that I had just used to go like try to help this dude. They had yanked that shit. The best movie example I can give of this is Clash of the Titans. You'll see every night when Persephone has to return to Hades, she leaves out of her body when she thinks she's going to dream world at night and she goes to the underworld. When I came back in my body, I just remember feeling like I was on fire, like literally like inside my body. And I was so upset that I had to like go crack plates. Like I was enraged. I had never felt like that and have not felt like that since. Yo, so lost my house, had to live with 211 and his mama. Then after that, had to live in a hotel. My mom had my kids. Like I lost everything. Like they were teaching me a lesson. Like what was the lesson? To to this day, I don't know what the entities were trying to, I don't think they were trying to teach a lesson. I think they just saw like a bright light and like wanted it. If I were to think of what lesson I was learning from like God, because the whole time I didn't touch candles again after that, guys. After I got jumped, I would not do no spells. Everybody was mad at me because our life was going so good when I was doing magic, like the kids and everything. Like, Mom, we can get our house back. We can do A, B, C, and D. Just start using your magic again. I would not touch magic. I thought that's what I had did wrong. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a punishment for you, me using magic. No, I was using magic and didn't believe there were vampires, even though there were several different dead celebrities. Like, hey, these people kill people. I did not realize like it had anything to do with me. I didn't think it was I'm just getting some tea. I'm just being nosy. I really did not think that I was pertinent in any way, shape, or form, regardless of these gifts. Like there are plenty of people who are psychic, but I did not understand spiritual warfare. So I waited. I didn't change this part. I gotta change that. So I was fucked up. I thought they was coming back again. And I felt very alone because 211 had been with me through the whole process, but only me and the children, some of the children could perceive that we were being attacked. Like everybody else, like they was cut off from that stuff. So this whole time I'm riding around, this dude like low key thinks I'm schizophrenic or crazy or something, when that's not even the case. So won't do magic. I'm worried every time Halloween comes around after this. One day he picks out a film, 211, called The Entity. He picks it out. What happens in the film, The Entity? The same exact thing that I described to him. Because as I'm getting jumps, there's no other way to say this. TMI, trigger warning, whole video, trigger warning. I'm going to write this in the thing. I got gangbanged by like demons. I'm explaining to this as it happens, as he's wondering why I'm throwing up and stuff around my room, because that's what's going on. So that's exactly what happened in the movie. And he was like, okay, I'll take it. And so his mom was like, what y'all mean? What's going on? So we explained to her what happened. And she was like, I got it. I'm not going to be anywhere near you near Halloween. So even just her accepted the fact that this really happened just made me feel better. So it did not happen the next Halloween. They did not come back the one after that. And I started getting comfortable. Got a house again out of the hotel, no longer being kept in towers. So I'm like, okay, my soul must be free now. Whatever happened, it's over. Let's try this again. Suddenly, since we're happily in here, we move in here February, March. Around April, I start feeling like somebody frolicking. They about to jump again. But my hearing and awareness and understanding that I need to listen to these messages, even if part of my human doesn't believe this shit is real, needs to kick in because this is life or death. I got fortunate. There were plenty of people that have come across these screens or made us music or been in our politics that had the same thing that happened to me happen to them, and they're not allowed to tell it right now. So I had to be very, very serious, despite the fact that I think everything is hilarious. That was not hilarious when that happened. So getting the pings, getting messages. There were certain things that I carried with me from the first time I was getting jumped. I heard a couple like celebrity names. Now I understand that that was the homies just telling me who else they were attacking along with me. So I kept those in my head. And when I started seeing messages like they was about to come out again, like swarms, when you see like messages about swarms, because that's how they attack you. They attack you as a group. They real lame. They gang stalkers. They can only attack you as a group. One-on-one, it really doesn't do the same thing, especially when they have somebody who is so down, so low that they're really about to take themselves out, or they need to take someone out. They come in gang format. They'll make sure that multiple entities are ganging up on you, so that the negative energy is so heavy that you just tap out, that you give up. It's the same thing as when like a group of bikers or something gets you in real life. That's how they roll, just like the Lost Boys. And that's the energy I kept feeling. Like, it's the Lost Boys again. So keep in mind, the last time, oh, this is rough. The last time after got attacked, I was able to go back and look at a couple things that I did not notice, like with my screenshots and all the evidentiary support that I had kept for myself. What I did not notice is that they had been sending me messages with options: join them, beat them, hide from them, or quit the game. So quit the game was me offing myself, and then my soul would have just went to them. Beat them would have been to magically outsmart them in some way. Join them, and my life would have been way easier. That's the way they were kicking it. Hide from them was like that's a joke option. You could try to cloak. You can try to fly above the vibration, but you really gotta face your fears, right? When I went back through my pictures, I noticed that I had been being groomed. So this was me in my little office, right? Notice my outfit. Look at the shoes, guys. I had even dyed my hair black. Like when I first dyed my hair black, my son came down and he's like, what did you do with my mother? All of the negative energy that had been pushed in the house the whole time, with us fighting and the stuff breaking down. It was during COVID, and for some reason they couldn't get something right with the computer systems at home. So they were asking my kids to come in, and I said, I'm not sending my kids into school during COVID. So we had truancy officers on our ass. It was like a whole bunch of stuff going on that I didn't notice at the time was slowly breaking down my vibration. Like I started wearing all black again. So before we left my house, because when I started getting attacked, I was like, we can't stay here. It's like my light, something here is a beacon that we need to go. I grabbed all my, I'm gonna show y'all this here. I'm gonna move. I grabbed all the cards from my Your Worst Nightmare deck. And this is just a whole bunch of different fears, right? I'm like, if there is a horrible amount of, Dusty, I ain't used that in a while. I told y'all, some stuff I just, after that. It's like, if there's something horrible happening, I need to bind it. So I took all those deaths, and oh, this is fresh. That just like, okay, I'm good. I took all of them and I put them in the grill. That's what you see right here. That's the grill, because I didn't want to burn up anything in my house. So before I left, I was like, I need to burn the Sleeping Beauty book, because the Sleeping Beauty is like a MK Ultra trigger book. Like reading through it, I was like having memories come back, but I'm like, hold on, something about this is wrong. But it was meant to, I guess, activate more of this program that was already put in here. Now, you can be somebody who is actually a victim of MK Ultra. Like if you have any connection to people who work in government, military, any of that stuff, there is a possibility. It is what it is. My mom, unfortunately for me, and my sister started dating a dude. She liked him in high school, but she got back with him like at 21, 22, and he had just came back from the military. She said he was not the same guy when he came back from the military. Like sometimes she'd have to like patch him up and stuff, because he had to go to meetings on the weekends, and he said he wasn't allowed to tell her what was happening at these meetings. And then after he got through that phase, every other weekend we had to go to his parents' house in DC. That was just like the requirement afterwards. In this lovely little family home, there was a back room where they kept all their reptiles and stuff, right? But there was this panel in the wall that you can hit, and it opens, and it was just a small room, like a closet space with one light up here, a stool in the middle, and it's surrounded by like children's books. They told their daughter it was the reading nook, but it's just like stuff was really weird around that time. Take that how you will. But you can have this done spiritually as well. Like if it happened to you in another life, the programming's still on you. It has something to do with that owing the board thing. If some trauma happened to you, it's going to come back up in this life, or it's still going to be on you in order for it to be triggered and you finally get rid of it. So when I read that Sleeping Beauty book by Anne Rice, who actually wrote it under another name. I was like, hell no, when I realized I was being attacked. So I took the cards and I burnt them and I burnt the book. These are the photos I took when I came back after getting attacked. Because what I didn't burn was the one that said crowds. How do I put this? The thing that I was trying to prevent when I felt that something horrible was about to happen turned out to be Astro World. To see when I came back home that crowds was the thing that did not burn fucked me up. There's no other way I can say it. I was gonna try not to cuss. Like, no, I was very sad about it. Like, because I tried everything in my power to prevent. I didn't know how powerful I was or anything, but if I could sense something bad coming, I can try to do something. But the thing that kept me like was I noticed that then I was alone line. So whatever I had did during that first time, it cleared my board, regardless of whether I got jumped. It cleared the Wicked Witch program that was put on me. It was broken. It was over. Bottom line. So I didn't beat them. No, they drained me. It was some vampiric activity, but I didn't join them. I didn't know that the alternate option was God. Like run back into God's arms. And I had to start over from scratch. I had to start back on like the moon level of the tree of life and death is what I was getting. That's why I got sent with his mama afterwards. I was back at the home vibration while my mom had my kids. So I had to move back up into my own pillar, which is where I am now after that abyss phase, because it was ugly for a couple years just being confused about like, why did everything get taken from me? So fight back is what happens in 2024 when I noticed that something was happening again. I started having the same feelings, like waking up at night, like, hold on, something is wrong. And then I started getting bruises. Like I would wake up and I would have bruises and stuff on my body. And I noticed like different homies, people who didn't make it through when the ritual happened to them. And I just like, when I went to make this, Naya has been heavy in my spirit lately. When I think of somebody who had this done to them that didn't make it, that's the first person that pops into my mind. Because like her death was crazy. And everyone's like, why would she just go out to the water and like just jump off the boat? Like, no, her mind was being played with at that time. And she thought it was her or her son that she had to choose. She put herself in that water because she was being black magically manipulated, right? So ghost friends on red alert, like something going down. There are other people who are about to be attacked. The attack this time was not about me, but because it had happened to me, like I'm sort of tethered to them or to like this group of people that drive this shit to me. I think it's also important that I mention that as well. This is humans that open portals to release these beings to go collect, right? When they collect a soul or a large amount of negative energy, they then give a reward to the human that commissioned them in the first place. Like if you want your album and your tour to do really well, you might say, hey, this is what I want, call this deity. You take what you need in order to get it. And then next thing you know, Houston freezes. You know what I mean? Like something like that would be what happens when you use black or chaos magic. So when I had been getting jumped, I told y'all I kept a couple names in my head. Those are the names that started like consistently running through my mind. So I was like, okay, those are the ones about to be attacked. On April 28th, this message popped up, right? I had to show y'all which day it was posted. I shared it with the world on May 7th. It said this famous rap artist estate will go to his hidden child, right? It wasn't actually his hidden child. It's like somebody had stole his jizz and he was unaware of it, because I think he's probably a victim of that MK Ultra stuff too. But they were going to kill him and then have this random child pop up and it would look like it was his child. And then that child would get some of his money. And it was just so that the people attached to that child would be able to take some of his estate. It was this guy, and it was one other really popular guy that I started getting signs about. I think they might be equal in popularity. So for this guy, I didn't have to physically do anything. Like, I don't know if it was the astral self, and y'all probably know who this one is. I don't know if it was the astral self or what, but that was covered like on its own. Now the other dude, they started working that hoodoo, voodoo, shoodoo on him. He was not doing well. So this is another one of those cases. Keep in mind, the night of the Met Gala, when they got all their little friends together and they're doing a reawakening of Sleeping Beauty, which I also thought was freaking crazy because that book I burnt was called Sleeping Beauty, right? So as soon as I saw that was happening, I was like, oh no. So we get in warfare mode. Warfare mode is you clean out a space like a prayer room. It needs to be empty. No dirt, no clutter, no nothing. Smudge. I had to even clean out my tongue because I realized my power of the tongue, my speaking when I was like doing my the power of Christ compels you stuff, right? It wasn't working like it needed to. So I had to clean off my tongue because I had been cussing. I was uncleansed, if you will. So I'm doing all of that and I feel the negative energy coming from the attack. I feel the release of these beings around 3 a.m. as they're doing their hoodoo voodoo. And I was originally like trying to beat it with negative force, trying to beat it with energy. And it just felt like overpowering to have that much negativity going through me. And like, I'm going to say it was Michael, like Archangel Michael. But suddenly I felt like this calm energy enter, or just somebody like, hey, do it with God. Last time when I was getting my ass whipped, I didn't like, no, it was not the same with God. Like I had 3 years since then to really lock in with the Most High and make friendship, as opposed to when I was in that lake house and I was still recovering from dying and having my heart broken. I was not whole. My relationship with God was not that. I was doing magic with outsource. That I think that's part of the gag too. By this point, me and God, gang, right? So when I heard that, everything got like really light. I didn't feel that negative energy anymore. And I prayed and I did what was needed to. And I felt like a whole bunch of stuff happening spiritually. Like they was mad. Their stuff wasn't working because you cannot do an evil ritual when there are angels in the room. You can try all you want to, and that's what I did. I opened a portal in their room while they were trying to open a negative one to let some angels in. I'm like, hey, God, can you show up in here? But during that, I hear a little emergency over here because keep in mind, they're still working their stuff. There's somebody who is being hit by this magic who does not have a defense. Like, so I go to this other person, beautiful young man. Y'all know him very well. I'm not going to say no names, right? But he is broken. Like nobody is there for him. Nobody has ever been there for him. He's like lonely. Like this is the pit of loneliness. And I remember this feeling because that's how I felt when I like logged out. I'm like, holy shit, this dude is about to log out. And I start hearing take me to the king. When now I know whenever I hear take me to the king, there is somebody out here about to like be gone. They about to be out. So I do the astral thing again, just like I had to do with Moon Boy. And I go to him and I'm trying to calm him down. I can feel his ease. Like I'm giving him some sort of peace. There goes, it's fucking me up again because I have not processed this one. I was not able to paint it out or anything. He's just by himself. He's about to take himself out. He can't take it no more. Like not only is he mentally tired and sad and lonely, and there are some parts of him he's never revealed to anybody, but his body hurts. Like he's physically sick. Like everything in this moment is like at the highest intensity for him. So I'm holding it and I'm like, okay, we can get through this. I'm trying to be positive, trying to like pour life and love into him. But he doesn't want it. He doesn't want to be here anymore. What he has been through has been so traumatic that he can't do it. So I'm scared at this moment. I'm like, he's about to do this. He's about to kill himself. But that's not what happened. Jesus stepped in. Y'all, like his soul, the soul that was originally in that body, was lifted at that moment, and a piece of Christ was put in like a placeholder. So that person's body will go on and do the amazing things that he was meant to do. Like y'all are gonna see a whole change going forward. Like it was just starting on his own, but like no, this is completely different. But the piece of him that was the original soul that was in there left. He didn't want to be parts of it. Every time I left out of my house after like technically holding this man through his death, his human death, I saw somebody that looked just like him. Like, cause he wears his hat in a specific way. Like I saw him like he was a guardian angel, I guess, for me afterwards because I had helped him through something until he was reborn again. So it turns out that 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 guy that I was talking about already had a baby on the way. The soul of the baby does not get into the body until the baby's first breath. So it turns out the one that I had held and removed from the body so that that whole process could happen went into his newborn son. So he was reborn into his son, and it's like Jesus is in the body that's raising him. So he will get the life that would have saved him from where he ended up, even though for everybody else, he's on top of the world. He was not. I was on suicide watch. That's what they wanted. Several different peoples, and they still have accomplished getting somebody to OD or drown or to take themselves in that way. The last person I will mention is because I don't know why I don't feel a problem saying his name as opposed to the other ones. I guess there is a violent reaction that comes from their swarms when you mention anything about them as opposed to this guy. But the third guy came a couple nights after their other rituals for these two dudes. And the rapper one, everybody saw his attack in front of the world. Like it played out literally. It's still going on as we speak. But Ricky Martin, like for months I have been listening to his music, which is weird. Now I know that when somebody's music is stuck in my head, I'm on red alert. But it was close. Like he had been like slowly disappearing. And I saw him post a picture and it was like a thumbs up, but I could tell that he was almost gone behind his eyes. One way when you know somebody's about to exit their body, guys, their eyes get like the people in Get Out. There's no light behind them. They're not there anymore. They are letting go of their source spark and they are about to be a hollow shell. And when you are a hollow shell, something can enter. I think I hollowed out when I told y'all that I died in the beginning. Like my light, like that was the end of me. I've spent the last 5-6 years putting my light back in my body. But when their eyes are like that, they're about to dip in some way, shape, or form. Their life or their body is now magnetizing death towards them. So for that one, I did like a prayer. I think I wrote something down. I prayed over him. I did not have to see him. But when I woke up the next day, he was fine. And then suddenly I noticed on his algorithm, he started sharing like mental health stuff. Like you can get better. Like he was working towards healing. And I'm like, okay, cool. Great progress. Angel missions. Now, I'm not the only one that's had this happen since I started this job. Other people come to me and say they see A, B, C, and D, or A, like whatever the case may be. You are the conduit for something bigger than you. There's an angel that rules you above and a demon that rules you below, right? Depending on where you are, and we're going to get into that next, depending on where you are vibrationally, you will gravitate towards pulling in the energy of one or the other. When you are a particular angel, you have wards, people that you care for. Now, when your higher or your lower self takes over your body, you are no longer only connected to your human experience. That's what happened to me. I think I started explaining and I got like pulled over here. But in some cultures, they put you through, like what you see in Stranger Things, what happened with 11. They put you through torturous or painful, what happened to Moon Boy, put you through rigorous things that force your angel or your demon to show up in the body because the human flees it. Bottom line. The only reason my gifts came into play is because my alternate self, you can look it up, it's called an Ori, O-R-E, or your head, or an adept, hopped into the body. If you do not understand this concept, check out the show Travelers on Netflix. It's a great explanation. You can also look into what is called as walk-ins. But your gifts come in. You are no longer just bound to the human experience. You are a part of your angelic self. You are the person you were before, but not quite. You might notice your hobbies change. Definitely the gifts. You can do a lot more than you did before. Like some of these things you might not have even been able to do, period. So somebody needed to know that and to understand what's going on with them. This also means your vibration changed. When your soul self enters your body, you don't have the same friends no more. You don't have the same job. You don't have anything because that's connected to that old vibration. A lot of times you end up changing your name as well because there's something to it. You just know like, hey, this is not fitting who I am anymore. And then you'll start getting messages like Bruce Almighty about the people that you are meant to help. In this case, I have kind of been on black magic suicide watch. And I couldn't understand why a lot of times I was drawn to different people, but they were all being attacked to take themselves out of the game. Your mission might be different. You might be helping somebody who's like about to abort a child that is really important. Keep that in mind, whoever you are. So Now the part that y'all can like lock into, since I had to explain all of that, right? How does this apply to everyone on earth? Yesterday I got an email. Every day I get an email, sort of kind of like a briefing now, because I am magnetized to like heaven email or like team spiritual warfare, kingdom of light emails, like what we're fighting now. Like every week I know something's gonna go on out here. I know what we're fighting. I know who they're attacking. Like I get briefed. I think I get briefed in my sleep and then I see it reiterated in the real world. But I always get an email. In this case, yesterday's email was explaining how people became vampiric. It is it is my belief that if you can change back the lead vampire, you can turn back everybody who else got sick off of that. I don't know. I ain't there yet. I ain't got next to the head vampire. I don't know who the head vampire is. Like I kind of know, but not what human is in. And I don't even want to go there right now. Like if that comes up to be a thing, because I've been comfortably in my home handling all this from the background with pen and paper, and nobody knows who I am or who's doing this shit, right? But since we are grounding into our physical bodies, I do believe that somehow I'll have to be going out in the 3D and all of this stuff will apply there. So it was important that I was trained while I was at home to be able to move accordingly out there. The video I did for y'all a couple days ago, I started explaining that on the tree of death, the spheres or the bosses that you get caught up with are the 7 deadly sins. So when I saw this right here, that they became parasitic by participating in any of the activities of the 7 deadly sins, I was like, I got it. So if you got some money and then you got greedy, you just got pulled into the sphere of greed. If you had sex and then you like got obsessed with it, you got pulled in or pulled into the tree of death by lust. Like you become a vampire when you blow your own circuit. That's the best way I can say that. So your circuits, you have several different layers that align with each one of your chakras. So when I told you guys that I was going to visit by astral body, now I could do this consciously, like the case there. But most of the time I find that I am doing it unconsciously with my celestial body, like in dream world. I never know what I'm doing in dream world. Like somebody came to me last week and said I helped them with something with dreams and they had a great conversation with me. Yes, it was me, but that's not my cognizant mind. I have not been able to figure out what is the difference between the ones that I know, the meetings I'm having and I'm going to, and the ones that are a part of my angelic duty. But we all have these different bodies that are doing different things in astral world. Get with it, y'all. They've been playing in our fucking faces. So your battery, let's look at this as a battery, a human radio receiver even, is powered by source, by God's energy. So the more that you pull in light and love and bliss and all that stuff, the more charged you are. The advantages to your charges are you magnetize more to yourself. You are blossoming, you are growing, you are a plant that is full of life. When you are depleted or you have blown your own circuits, you are locked into the ugly emotions and you are only pulling in low vibration emotions into your person. This is how somebody that used to be really great goes through a bunch of hard things and then they get really like ugly and turn into a horrible person. Like, oh, I guess hero to villain. Bottom line, right? Your heart, which is the center, the engine of the body. It is also the center and the engine of your spiritual body, like the connection between the spirit and the physical. So I was doing my little shuffle thing, and only one other time before now had I ever asked, like, hey, how do I get the answers? How does this work? How am I shuffling through these cards and an answer coming through? Right? This time when I did it this week, I heard electronics or like electro. And I was like, electromagnetic. And I was like, hold on. I think I get it. So when I shuffle these cards, I can't see, but it's like a magnet. Whatever energy that is the answer is going through my fingers and it's magnetizing the correct cards toward me. So when I pull this, I'm pulling because the magnet just led me to this. After that, I was like, electromagnetic field, EMF. So we're made of electronics based upon source. I then looked up the electromagnetic field around the heart. Now, keep in mind, guys, chakra wise, when your heart is closed, you can no longer absorb the energy from source. Your heart is the place where God pulls in. When you close your heart or it's so damaged, you don't want to let any light in, you are only allowed to live in your solar plexus, your sacral, and your root chakra. They bind you to just this 3D experience. You aren't even using the other forms of your astral bodies at all. They might be trying to help you because you're so locked in your human that you are no longer even connected. When your heart is open and thriving and you're in those upper emotions because you're letting light in, like this sun here, absorbing into your body, right? Then you can hear from source. Then you can speak the truth of all your other chakras through the throat. Then you are taking in God energy through your crown. So you're connected. You have your own crown. I get flack for this one all the time because nobody wants to stop eating meat. That's really the feeling I get from it. You can tell people the right stuff all the time, but if they are deeply ingrained in their human experience, in their ego, they don't want to give up anything. They don't want to do A, B, C, and D. The first thing you can do to raise or lift, to start protecting yourself spiritually, is watching what you eat. Processed food is the enemy. Meat, dead flesh, as is listed here, or animal discharge, are 0 points on the scale. Look at the frequency. There's nothing in them. So if you are somebody who is vibrating 700, you're a great person. You jog, you're nice to people, but you eat 0 megahertz food all day, and you watch stuff that's on 0, then your vibration is slowly getting broke down over time. You are downward spiraling, you don't even notice. Should I share this with y'all? Let me know if y'all want a copy of this. I think this is pretty. For you to understand that when you put living things in you, you are raising your vibration. At the time that I got attacked the first time, I was drinking chlorophyll every day. Like I had drops that I put in my water. Like I had a bunch of seeds and stuff. I wasn't even eating meat or anything, but I didn't know that myself was like getting prepared to take a big L. So if you ever get the pink suddenly to start fasting or just like go out in light, you are avoiding attack. You are avoiding being in a low vibration. You are lifting yourself up out of harm's range. I guess that's the best way to say it. Watch what you eat, watch what you listen to. All of that lets you know what you're magnetized to also. The music you listen to, it tells you like what your soul is doing, like what you are drawn to. So for example, I've been having a hard time the last 2-3 weeks because 211, my roomie, like that I'm still like stuck with because we're like now in some spiritual crap, which is a whole nother episode I explained to you guys. He's been obsessed with baddies and the shows where everybody's fighting and stuff. So I'll be over here listening to an energy cleanse as I hear "fuck you, bitch" in the background, and I'm trying to clean. Like he is watching this from the moment he wakes up to while he's at work on his breaks till as he's walking in the door at night. He said because he needs the chaos, he needs the drama. I'm sure I was listening or trying to listen to my affirmations in the morning. He got mad as soon as they came on and put on his headphones and started listening to like Nicki Minaj or something. It was really loud. But his vibration is lower. When you hit somebody that has a lower vibration with any of this upper stuff, this is like when I was in that shitty mood, when I told y'all I was in the black hoodie, if you turned on gospel music, I would have got mad. That's how low I was. Light things or things that are high vibrational upset people that are not high vibrational. If you say hi and somebody's like, oh, it's this happy bitch, that's because that person is miserable. They are at the bottom of the totem pole. Just little ways that you can recognize the difference between where somebody's vibration is. When somebody is at a lower vibration, they open themselves up to be a conduit for energies from their demon, from the tree of death. So I explained the 7 deadly sins, right? And how they are handling the collection of souls, right? So above you got the Trinity like this. This is the Father, the daughter or the Holy Spirit, and the Son. Below you have the dark triad. This is an inversion of the Trinity. I hate to say this, whatever, I can tell y'all the truth. So this is where the father figure, or like the person who puts the group together, and the son are secretly smashing, whether together or separate, or smashing the sister daughter. Dark triad examples, or they build a kingdom as well. Just like the Trinity can build a kingdom of love and light, the dark Trinity can build a kingdom, but they built it off of sex, drugs, murder, darkness. Just the message that is pushing out is not the same as if you have one that's this way that helps lead people to God and leads people further. Two musical versions I can give you of dark triads where you can see how the empire grew off of that. As a matter of fact, I can give you three. And because I'm Black, I just know Black music. All right, whatever. I don't know any white examples, but maybe y'all can give me some Caucasian or Indian or whatever other races examples of a dark triad formation here. You remember that time that Jay-Z had Kanye West and Rihanna and they ran this town? Okay. Another example, Lil Wayne, Drake, and Nicki Minaj when they created that whole Cash Money takeover thing. And another sneaky example that popped up recently was that time that Puff Daddy had Notorious B.I.G. or Big Papa and Lil Kim. So those are how you build based on the inverted energy. The goal for either side, whether you're connected to the top trinity or the bottom trinity, is to collect souls for your side. If you want people back with God, like, come up here, be friends with us. But if you are somebody who is tethered to the bottom, your goal is to make sure that somebody else does not get out. You are literally a crab in the barrel if you are connected to the tree of death. So when you hear me say something about monitoring spirits, which are people that are pretty much lower leveled, who are allowing themselves to be used by something outside of them because they are miserable and they're not handling their misery or their envy or their greed or whatever particular sin that the darkness is linking them or linked with in them. So if you're a jealous person, that envy part of the tree or whatever entity is ruling that is going to use you to attack other people that you're jealous of. So over here we got God, spirit, divine, higher consciousness. This is the angels, guardian angels, ascended masters, and light beings. That's why in the middle of that attack, I was able to hear Michael just a gentle whisper, and then everything went fucking still. And I'm sorry, because that was the craziest thing. I did not have time to think about it at the time, but I'm up here pushing out like as much negative energy as I can. And then I just feel like, baby, you're doing it the wrong way. I love Michael. When he pops up, everything's just so much easier. But before that kicked in, when I was in fear, when I was like, losing my, after I just got like attacked, all I felt was this. All I could feel was the fact that there were hundreds of like dark spirits around me because I was in fear. You can feel it down there. The energy can't hit anything that it is not a match for. By the time I got done the second run-in with these people, I felt like I just won a war. Like, for real. Like, I could have cried. But when I went to my TV screen, because I still couldn't, you can't sleep for a couple of days after you've been attacked in the astral. The first song that was on my recommended was a gospel song that I had never heard before. It was called No Longer Slaves. And my soul was just like, click it. And when I clicked it, it was like, it was me magnetizing evidence of what I had just went through. If you beat a battle, next thing you know, you're going to see signs you beat a battle. No longer slaves is like the chorus goes, I'm no longer a slave to fear because I am a child of God. You rescued me from my enemies. Like, that's the whole premises of the song. I thought I was alone in this world, and then you showed up and showed out. And that's exactly what happened, because as many demons and stuff and dark people in those robes that there were way more angels and angelic entities available to help once I tapped out of the lower vibration and started thinking like God can be anything. And technically, he can. It's like God did not have enough soldiers to handle the spiritual part. There are people in churches, there are people, synagogues and all that stuff. They know what has been given to them in the books, and they can pray and do certain things. But when it comes to black magic, there are some things that they won't touch, some corners they won't go in, some things that they refuse to learn because there is a fear of the temptation that this knowledge brings. Since I have climbed from right here, right, back up this tree. This is where I'm sitting at right now. I'm just trying to get back to God. I'm trying to get next to the crown. From these lower level entities, and I think it's the big bad that I was receiving offers from. Lottery numbers, I could have had a new house. Like you can hear the temptation. And they recognize when you're in a situation when you're worried. The only way I can hear it is like, oh, I'm worried about these bills. I bet you won't have to worry if you won this lottery. Like that's how it plays. Whenever you have a feeling that is disconnected from knowing that God covers everything or source takes care of everything, that is an entry for temptation. Whatever sin, or how about I say it like this? Every entity has a particular thing that they pick up on. If they're walking around, floating around, and they hear, dear God, please send me such and such, and it's a match for the sin that they provide on, they're going to pop up in your ear like, shh. Then the next thing you know, you're moving towards this area as opposed to up here in faith. Faith is at the top of the high frequencies, fear is at the bottom. So how does this work with these entities and people? So this is the part that usually freaks people out, just like this photo over here. But when you are in faith and release and you are open to source and doing what it needs to be, you are soft, you are loose, you are fluid, you go with the flow, you are in surrender state. You can attract in surrender and flow state. Everything comes to you because your magnet is fully spread out. Like you see my little wings, like shh. Your magnet is fully spread out. When you are forcing, trying to make things happen, like when I was sending out that negative energy, it was tight, it was constricting. I could tell I was not doing what I needed to during that ritual. But as soon as I let go, that's when I felt the power flow through me. Like I was able to be used as something bigger than myself. When you are tight, when you are in your ego, when you believe that you are the only one that can do anything, there ain't no God, that ain't nothing. These dudes right here be like, yeah, because they can then, you see how, can I zoom in here? I think I can. There we go. You see how, come on now, over here in the very back, you see this entity, reptilians, Draco reptilians, imagine them as like humanoid velociraptors that exist in the 5D, demons, whatever you want to call them. This is what they look like, shapeshifters. And even here it says, what people see when humans shapeshift into reptiles. This is particularly common among world leaders in politics, banking, business, military, so on. So one of these entities senses this guy who has a lot of ambition. Oh, he want to be big, he want to be bad. We can help him with that, baby. Let me just find out what his vice is, right? Say money is his vice. Because look, this entity has its hands in its root chakra and his solar plexus, but they are using this person as a puppet now because that person was a vibrational match in one of those energy centers for this constricted energy. Like this person did not believe that there was source or that God could help them through anything. So let me just plug myself in here. This is how a lot of people get addictions, and that sin becomes the thing they are known for. Because this being is now riding you. It is mounting you through your chakras and manipulating your thoughts and your decisions. This can only happen if your heart has been closed, because otherwise it can't take that purity of energy. But if your heart is closed off and you're just in this human experience going about this, a being can mount you so quick, and then suddenly, if you're a person on the outside, you can have this person that you loved your whole life and they were wonderful. Something bad happened to them, and then suddenly they don't fuck with you no more. Their attitude is horrible. Like this person is awful. That is because they have became vampiric. That's what the email that I got was explaining to me, how somebody becomes a vampire. They close their heart. They've been hurt too much. They can't take anymore, and something else has taken over them. Now, the difference between what I was explaining with the walk-in, a walk-in is when the original soul is just gone, deuces, right? When you have not given up, when you're still fighting, that's when one is just attached to you. You can still fight that off, right? Through the electromagnetics of your heart. So your brain is sort of what is directing everything. Your thoughts are directing everything. That's why you got to be careful and watch your thoughts, and why I started those affirmations, just to make sure no matter what has been put in my subconscious. When I was unfortunately in that little cubby room at military man's house, keep in mind, there was a long line of military family, by the way. It wasn't just him. His dad was in it before him. His name was actually Mason the Second. My brother ended up Mason the Third, and his father was Mason the First. So I have to sit through the affirmations. I got to weed out whatever's in there because I do not know. So your brain is base central for your magnet and what you are sending out, right? Your heart is like, it's the hub. It's sending out the emotions. Think about it. If you're thinking sad, then suddenly you start feeling it here. If you start thinking, you know what, this situation ain't gonna get me down, and suddenly you feel it here. That's you controlling your magnet. energy vampires have taken themselves away from source. They were born with a connection to source, and somewhere between birth and where you come across them, they have disconnected from that, and they were left with only the power they had within them. Now, when they burn out that energy, when their heart, all the love that they have given out is like lost and they're like heartbroken, then their heart shuts down, right? After that, they need somebody else's energy. That's how they become vampiric. So some people can't even take it in their heart. Some people can't even transmute that. They can't break your heart and get anything from you because they would require them to like ingest it into their heart. They can't do that. But those are the people who will attack you mentally. That's because they need that brain electricity from you, that source that is keeping their mind going. So those are people who argue with you, gaslight you, just anything to irritate you, to get you to talk back, because they need that energy that is coming from your brain. They need your magnet to help them afloat, because otherwise they're just slowly descending. There's nothing in there except for what they take from other people. If somebody is breaking your heart, if it's a love connection, that's because they need that heart energy, because their heart isn't all the way closed, but it's extremely damaged. Somebody whose heart is completely closed will go for your brain. They'll go for your mind. They'll mentally attack you, as opposed to somebody who would love bomb you and then try to take that love away because they need to feel love at a dense level. Now, some people can't take source energy, which is pure light, right? So they need this thing called louche energy. Louche energy is the traumatized version of source energy, the negative version that they can snort. It's like the difference between, dang, I guess it's between somebody who eats meat and vegetarian. A person who eats vegetables and stuff and is a vegetarian, it's like, hey, I can't put that meat in my body, as opposed to a person who only eats meat and it's still horrible for them. They still might say they can't eat vegetable. So I guess that's not a good example, but y'all understand what I'm saying. They're less likely to be okay with the vegetarian diet. Like, I ain't doing that. I'm staying down here with all these meats, as opposed to, yeah, I gotta let that example go, huh? If somebody else has a good one, let me know. But when you are in a sexual connection with somebody, and I'm gonna try to do this not gender-based, if you will. So if you are the receiver, the person taking something in you, right? Something is being put in your root. That person who has the phallic member is then transmuting everything that they have in their root chakra, and it is pouring into your root chakra. Your root chakra then turns it up, and that energy gets shot up into your heart. Your heart is do I want to say like a cleaner? I guess so. And then when you orgasm and you release, that energy flows from your heart to their heart. They just got a big boom in there. So if you're dealing with somebody who's a sex vampire, they're going to make you multiple times because they need the energy that is coming out of you. And the lower they are, the more they feel the need to drain you. Your heart is refueling their heart. And it says uterus, but if you got a pussy, it's the same thing, because they're pouring from that. The act of sex is cyclical. And I wish I had that picture to show you guys, that it's going to come from one heart, go to the other, the same way that the root energy transfers. So in another way, if somebody has a closed heart and they have crappy energy in their chakras, and you are engaging with them sexually, they just dumped all of that gunk from everybody they done slept with, and all their instability and all their fears, into your cleaning pot. So suddenly you have a hard time sleeping, stuff is not going as well for you because it's not being cleansed out, and this person is breaking your heart because they're not emotionally available during the rest of the relationship in order to reciprocate the good energy that you just gave to them. So vampires work in these ways: sexual or mental, like they just want to be in your energy. Like, this is somebody who just pops in and always has a question. They just want a piece of your energy because they're low or they're down. And this is not something I'm going to say like, oh, stay away from all vampires, because some people just don't know how to heal themselves. And as soon as they recognize somebody else who has light, they're like, oh my goodness, I'm so happy to see somebody. I was wondering what was wrong with me. So they can't help it. I'll say those people are more like mosquitoes, as opposed to a full-blown vampire whose heart is closed and goes out like cruising, I guess is the way you say it, hunting. Like they go out and they know, like, hey, I'm going to this club, I'm trying to get some ass tonight. You'll notice somebody who is attracted to louche energy versus light. Like my mom, somebody tried to take her to a strip club before. She cried at the door. She wouldn't even go through. She can't be there. She's like, the energy, like something about it. She's too sensitive for the louche energy that is in the strip club. That is the type of energy that's in there. There's nothing positive about the heaviness of the sexual energy that is in a strip club. So if you find somebody who likes to hang out in that area, it's because their heart cannot take the pure version of the sexual energy. So right now, what's happening with this North Node in Pisces, South Node in Virgo, is you are ingesting or taking in your higher self and healing your human self. This means everything that is stuck in that root that I was talking about, that just came up during the Aries thing being triggered, is about to be flushed. It's about to be cleansed. So you'll get a variety of messages like you are changing into your best self and so on and so forth. I started getting messages and I was like, dear God. So God's rebooting your baddest alter ego. I started seeing like little stuff like, we got to pull your darkness up. It has to come out of you. Now, sometimes you'll be crying. Sometimes you'll be mad. Like you just got to go with the emotions because we have to get them out of you. Even if you don't know where they come from at that moment, you have to find a way to deal with this because it's not going to be held back anymore. Nobody's pain is going to be held back anymore. So if somebody had an addiction that they were using to cope with difficulty and these feelings start coming up, they're going to get further into their addiction unless they find something that helps them transmute. Pisces, transmute, Virgo, ground is what I'm feeling in general. So I got like this one when they're like, we got to put the bad stuff out. But when I'm like, what does that mean for my darkest aspect? And if it's God rebooting me, I need to understand that. And I heard this song in my head. Nobody knows this song because it's just some stupid song from Love and Hip Hop that was on the soundtrack that like got put in my head forever ago. But I started hearing the song in my head and I'm like, what? So I went to it, but the picture on the front is what messed me up. So I am not sure exactly where all of this is leading for me in particular, except for I'm meant to share my testimony with you guys. That's why I included the pictures and stuff today, for you to understand what's about to happen here in the physical and the spiritual, because I won't be the only one. I'm just told that I got put through it in advance, and several of us actually got put through it in advance for what's coming up next so we can help the others who have no idea once their gifts come online. So I'm gonna go with warrior nun, maybe. You know, you got to sit down and translate the messages that come towards you, because the lyrics are, I never meant to start a war. We'll see where that goes, right? So I hope this really long video that was actually supposed to go into a third part where I broke down it astrologically for everybody so you can get more familiar with your higher and your lower self and what's coming up for you. But I am going to save that for another day because this was a lot. And I know the next video is going to be a lot too. I didn't expect it to go this long, but I said I'm going to leave myself open to what source needs me to say and being completely honest and authentic, because the more honest I am, the higher up the pole I get to get. But also, I was crying about something earlier and I was so mad. I hate that I have to cry. Crying doesn't get anything done, right? If you've been around people that say, shut that crying up. Stop crying before I give you something to cry about. Sometimes you might find a block when you go to start feeling emotions. And y'all see me sometimes when I'm on here and I feel the tears start behind me, I'll like go, or try to stop it. I've been having to not do that and just feel my feelings and let it come out, no matter if I understand why it's happening or not, because it has to be released. Otherwise, I will have pain in my chakras that are open for attack. It's called the legal rights of Satan. If anything in you is not connected to source, or you're holding hatred or ugliness or anything that belongs to that tree of death, that's where they can attack you or send somebody to persuade you to join their team. So I've been over here just letting myself cry when I need to. I had to take 2 days to just balance out all the emotions that were coming out. And I know I'll just be having to do that on a regular basis, but it's important because not only does that mean I get the rest of my gifts back by clearing out all this dark stuff that I didn't even know was in there, but that I am safer on the yellow brick road, connecting to source and focusing on the healing part, which can be extremely uncomfortable. I keep comforting myself, and I'm going to leave this as my last word by saying, as I'm feeling like all these difficult things, like, oh my gosh, this is too much to have to feel these heavy feelings. You survived the thing that actually made you feel like this. You're dealing with the residuals. Nothing that you have been through already is going to be as like, everything that you have been through before is way worse than what it's going to be like going forward. you are in recovery. Recovery is harder for some people than the rehab or the actual addiction, because you have to look back on everything that happened when you were unhealed or finally feel it. So if you are in recovery with me, which can also be a good way to look at this North Node in Pisces, South Node in Virgo, it is about healing and cleansing and all that good stuff that I'll get more into last video. Just know you are not alone. Healing hurts. Nobody could have ever told me that healing hurted as much as actually going through it, but it's just as bad, because you have to accept your own powerlessness. You have to accept your reaction to what happened in that situation. And then you have to, after all that stuff comes up, look at it again, but from a clear perspective. As you carry on, the pain gets easier every time you go back to it. And that's how you know you're healing. When something that used to like hurt you so much, you couldn't even think about it. Like, I can't even look in that closet. When you're able to finally look at it and be like, dang, that was a rough time, but I understand what was going on there. You are actively healing. All of the doors that you say, no, 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 hell no, I'm not dealing with that right now, are opening. Bottom line, that's what the main point of the spiritual warfare and protections thing and me doing the video this way was about. The closet doors are opening on everybody's demons to come out. Oh, I'm like, hold on, there was something else. Lust. I need y'all to understand this, just because this is going to be really important. When you are lacking something, it's like a vitamin deficiency, right? When you're missing iron, like I'll be missing my iron because I'm anemic. I had 4 C-sections. I lost a lot of blood. Whenever I get my menses, I start craving steak. I don't want steak any other time. I'm not really a red meat eater, but I'm like, I need to go to Iron Age. I need to go to Fogo de Chao. I need like Ruth's Chris. I need like the best steak ever. It's a deficiency for something that's missing. You can have deficiencies in your chakras too. Like somebody who has a sexual issue, a root chakra issue. That person might have a sexual addiction because they need to constantly replenish that root. Now, lust is different for demons than it is for humans. So if somebody has an entity that is attached to them and they are depleted of source energy in some way, shape, or form, their lust will take on the form of whatever their deficiency is. I saw something today and I knew I wasn't supposed to look at my freaking phone, but it gave me an example for this. There was 3 stories and the blogger was really confused, like, why is this happening? Because it was 3 black men. And, you know, we sort of don't categorize like certain stuff, but it was one dude who had assaulted, I'm going to say assaulted for the sake, his best friend's dog, somebody that had assaulted his infant daughter, and somebody else who had assaulted another child. When you have demonic lust versus human lust is physical body, like, oh my God, look at that ass, right? That's human. You're looking at the person, you're looking at the eyes, the face. It's a certain collection of traits that you are attracted to, basically, just physically, your physical magnet. Demonic lust is based on your soul. Like some being that is attached to another person senses your source energy. They sense that, oh, Jeepers Creepers. That's the example that just popped in my head. Something that they are missing is inside of you, and that being needs that human to get to as close to you as possible so they can get that energy up out of you. So when you see somebody who is a pedophile or into bestiality, it has nothing to do with the physical body. Like that used to bother me for years. Like, oh, somebody want to touch a baby. Like, who wants to do that? It's not about the child. It is about the light and the innocent energy that is in that child, that entity that is attached to that person who has been sad or worn down or just had something horrible happen to them is now trying to pull out of that. So that was really important, and I didn't think that's how it was closing. But lust takes on different form, and it has nothing to do with what you physically look like. It has to do with a spiritual deficiency. So get your house in order. Check your chakras, y'all. Be it family or foe, they could all attack. It's like a game of what is that? Imposter? Among Us. That's what it was. And that came out during COVID too. TikTok, y'all also got set up with TikTok. TikTok was going on for a certain amount of time, but it was a countdown. The fact that it has ended now, right? What, like the day before the next guy becomes president, because he is the biggest player. And what's about to happen to everybody here? It just feels like y'all were finessed. The demons outside use these humans to play a game, but the game they're playing is because like they know what TikTok means. Like all of this is funny to them. Demons have a sense of humor about torturing humans. Y'all have seen it in all sorts of movies. They don't hide who they are. it just is easier for most people to not think about the fact that all that stuff exists. So this was a lot. I hope it was handy. I just couldn't close out without mentioning everything that was on here. And that lust thing feels really, really important. Some people's tastes are going to change. When you spiral down, they change bad. Anybody who is wanting to change, they might have liked depraved stuff before, but suddenly they're going to go more vanilla. Like when you sexually, because I guess this is a good way for adults to know how they're doing. When you are lusting and you're craving acts that are more violent, more painful, you want to slap somebody, you want to cuss, you're craving loose energy. If you are somebody who is desiring to make love, what you're actually desiring is to merge with the other piece of your God self, which is usually in somebody who has more of the opposite sex energy. Like if you're a masculine, somebody strong in that, you're going to want to make love to somebody who has feminine energy because you want to merge back into that Trinity thing. And not that one, but to feel God up here. Now, if you are somebody who needs that loose energy and wants to participate in something that's more lewd, you're going to want like a three-way or something that further divides you because you need that extra ill energy like that one that makes you get more and more depraved. Like it's not enough. That's a good rule of thumb for you to understand when you are being pulled towards the lower tree. Sin is excess. Anything that you need extra of, or you're hoarding, or like it's never enough, or you can't feel fulfilled in that department, you are being led towards difficulty. When you get into a sexual relationship and you have sex with somebody that is making love, you don't want to touch anybody else because y'all are tethered in together. But also you feel fulfilled afterwards. You don't even need to do it all the time. And then when you do it, it's like mind-blowing, as opposed to if you are feeding off of the lower end. You need it more often. You need it with different people. You need different ways. You need it to be disrespectful, like just all that different stuff. So, all right, guys, I did it. I did all that talking. Y'all have a good day.